Hey guys and girls, my name is Snowy, also known as Patrick, and today I'm going to do something that usually I'm not doing that often, but I feel like compelled to respond to this video of CC, also known as Chris, because it showed up in my suggested box, and I thought to myself, you know what, I want to respond to the video of this individual because I know this guy is a flat earther. He believes that the earth is flat, and he says things in his latest video. I'm thinking like, okay, you know most people who try to debunk flat earthers are always, I don't know, they're kind of sort of disrespectful somehow to a certain level of degree. And I know the flat earthers themselves also often are like a little bit, yeah, how shall I say it? Also not that friendly towards Globus, but I try to tend to be, friendly in this case, and just try to understand what motivates CC in this video that, I will show in a moment in the right corner of your screen, in the inset. And yeah, I try to respond to it and try to explain, things that are going on. So here we go, shall we?
All right. See, now that's the moon right there. Let's do this before the landscapers come and make a whole noise. That's the moon. Can you see that? Do you see that? Yeah, that's the day moon right there. And there's the sun. If you see that, there you go. Okay. All right. Stand by for a minute.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you may be. CC here. Chris from New York, Westchester County. It's 10/3/23. That was the day moon and the sun. Okay? You see them both, right, at the same time. That's not possible on a globe.
Okay, I have to cut in here for a moment because the guy keeps talking. So basically, he says that it is not possible for us to see the sun and the moon together in daylight. Now, I wonder why would that not be the case? Because we all know, we have full moon, we have waning moon, waxing moon, and we have new moon. Now imagine if you have like a new moon, and let's say you take the time between a waxing moon and a new moon, or even a waning moon and a new moon. You can imagine that the moon is still sort of in between Earth and the sun. If it's new moon, then the moon is exactly between the Earth and the sun, although slightly above or below it. Otherwise we would have an eclipse every month, which does not happen. So if the moon is just, let's say, a week away or 2 weeks away from becoming a new moon, then it's apparent that from your daylight perspective, you can still see it together with the sun. They form basically a sort of a triangle. Yeah, you have the sun here. Let's say this is the sun. You have the moon here. Here's the earth. You are standing here. The sun is shining from here onto that moon, and from here you can see that moon. So essentially there's nothing magic about it, seeing actually the moon in daylight, and it happens more often than you think, CC. So let's continue, shall we?
Spinning in this infinite speed in space. The only way you could see the moon and the sun at the same time is if they were enclosed.
He says something about you can only see them when they are enclosed. Enclosed in what? Okay, let's continue. Maybe he can tell us what this is enclosure might be.
Okay. Now remember, the moon is self-illuminant. That's right. It illuminates itself.
What? You are telling me that the moon illuminates itself? CC, are you serious? Did you ever see the moon, buy yourself a telescope and watch the moon and then see all the shadows, being casted by its craters? you can see shadows on the moon. So definitely the moon is not illuminating itself. It is being lit upon by the sun, yeah, and that's the thing that we see here on Earth. Buy yourself a telescope and go watch the moon, and you see that there are shadows on it. So no, it's not illuminating itself.
And what I love about the moon is that if that was 238,000 miles away, okay, and it's being lit by the sun that's 99 million miles away, how is that possible that we could even see it in the blackness of space?
You are stating basically that the moon is 230,000 miles away, and for me as a European, for me it's like 300,000 kilometers away. Now, the Earth is only 12,756 kilometers in diameter. So imagine, I don't have an example here, but I wish I had an example right now, but I don't have it. But take that into account. If you divide 300,000 by 756, you come to a value around 30. So it's like the moon is 30 times away from the sun, and the moon, the Earth, I mean, from the Earth. And if you take into account that the moon is roughly a quarter the size of the Earth, then we are talking about that these two celestial bodies are very far apart, regarding their size. Now, why can we see it? Because the sun, is a very big nuclear explosion that is constantly going off. The sun is huge, it's very big, and 600,000 tons of hydrogen is being converted into energy and also into helium. And you know that the sun is bright. I mean, if I look at your video, you're half in the sun, with your face. You try to look into the sun. But bear in mind, disclaimer, it's dangerous. Please don't look into the sun without proper protection, because if you look into the sun, it will definitely damage your eyes. So it is bright. I don't need to tell you that the sun is bright. You can see it that it's bright because it's illuminating everything. Even on a cloudy day, you might say like, hey, the sun is not shining, but actually it is. Because it's so bright, it shines through the clouds, and still it illuminates the entire thing. The entire area. You can still drive around. You can still see everything. So in that case, why would you then not be able to see the moon? Even if it's a little bit further away. But that moon is like 3,000 plus kilometers in size. So it's a huge thing, that reflects a lot of light back towards us. So yes, we can see it. We can definitely see it. Okay, let's continue.
And where are the stars? In all these NASA photographs, where are they? Where are they?
Where are the stars? In the NASA photographs, where are the stars? Well, you cannot see them because in most cases the shutter time used by cameras is so small, that the camera had not enough time to pick up any light from a star, because the central object that you try to photograph is so bright that you need a very low shutter time to get the thing, onto your device. Let's continue, because you're going to say something about it more. So let's check that out.
I guess they didn't have a resolution back in 1969, right? But what about 2023? High definition cameras. We all have them. Hell, we have them on our phone. My camera on my phone is better than any camera out there.
Okay, Chris, you make me laugh a little bit because, you compare your 2023 camera on your phone with something from the 60s, but I think you misunderstand here the properties between megapixels and shutter time. The deep field image made by Hubble how that was made. Yeah, the Hubble telescope only has a mirror that is 2 meters in diameter. Still, it captured a lot of galaxies. Why? Because they let open, the lens to collect as much light as possible. As much as possible. And that's also the reason why you don't see stars from the lunar surface, because they only use the shutter time of maybe 0.2 seconds at best. That the stars are simply put too faint. And if you leave the shutter time too far open, then the foreground objects, which are already too bright, will saturate, the camera, and then you will have like an overexposure of your photo, and it will be all like a white picture. So it has nothing to do with megapixels or resolution. You can even have 1,000 megapixel camera, but if you open it only for like an 0.2 second, you will still not see any stars. So let's continue.
You see these pictures, okay, of a solar system flying, a galaxy flying through space.
Are you actually saying like that you are seeing a picture with a solar system and a galaxy flying through space? You see something flying on a picture, actually? You're not really seeing motion in a galaxy. Galaxies are very big. They're like hundreds of thousands of light years across in most cases. Our own Milky Way is nearly 200,000 light years in diameter, and it takes our sun like 140 million years to go around like that. So take, for example, the first photograph of the Andromeda Nebula, and if you take that photograph and you compare that photograph with a new photo of today, and we are talking about something that has been taken over 100 years ago, you will not see any significant difference. You would barely see any difference, because you don't see the spiral galaxies move, or any galaxies move. You might see only very close by stars move, in relation to the background, but that's also because the sun is moving through space, those stars are moving through space. So some of these stars, we can photograph them by every 5 years, and then they will have been shifted across the sky because of apparent motion, but the background remains the same. So yeah, we won't see any moving galaxies. So yeah, let's continue.
Of this magical, mysterious Walt Disney World land, when really, in reality, all we are is just a flat Earth covered with a dome.
You say that with so much conviction that all we are is a flat Earth with a dome. But, often when I see videos about, globers trying to debunk flat Earthers, the question always comes down to my mind is like, where's the proof of this dome? Can you tell me where is this dome? Can you make a photo of it? Can you make a scientific observation of it, that there is actually a dome out there? And also, can you prove that the Earth is flat? There's enough proof that the Earth is a globe. I can go into a lot of details about that the Earth is a globe. Yeah. I can name a few examples, but I don't want to fill up the video with this. But yeah, you say that with so much conviction, but without any proof, and that's a pity. If you really believe in that, then come up with some proof. Show us that dome, and show us globers. Let's say just say globers. Like, hey, yeah, there is a dome, and I can show it to you guys, by this experiment, or by this camera that I mounted on a balloon or whatever. You can figure something out, Somebody had to do some research. All the millions of scientists on this planet that are doing research and say like that the Earth is a globe, they proved it by all kinds of methods. And if I look at the flat Earth community, then I see like no effort taken whatsoever to prove that the Earth is flat. And yeah, that's a pity. it's kind of you're deluding yourself a little bit. And you seem to be like, a reasonable guy, and yeah, what to say? Okay, let's get on with the video.
Imagine just picture, going back to 1955. Somewhere in the middle, right there, early 60s, when they finally figured out the best and brightest scientists, scientism, finally figured out that we live on a flat land and covered with a dome.
Okay, you state that somewhere in the 50s that they figured out that we are living on a flat land, on a flat earth with a dome. So do you have any source of that, CC? You're stating it, but where is the document? Where are the experiments? Where is the newspaper that covered this thing that you are now mentioning, somewhere in the 50s? If you can show me that, if you can show, details, and I'm very inclined to see it, but you don't show it. It's again a pity, lack of evidence. Yeah, it's a pity. Okay, well,
what do you think they did? It must have been kids in a toy house. You know what I mean? The first thing would have popped up into my head is like, just fucking shoot the moon, shoot it, do something, So that's what they probably did. They probably tried to shoot.
Well, you do have like a vivid imagination, about, kids and whatever, and what to do with the moon and shoot the moon. And sometimes I think like you live in your own world, and I respect that. I respect the fact that you believe in what you believe. The only thing that sometimes bothers me is a little bit is like, what is being taught towards children? That's a thing, that's really a thing. And I just hope that children are being taught to do experiments and learn by experimenting and by doing research to achieve knowledge. I'm not even a scientist. I'm only reasoning by logic, simple logic. I could be, a Vulcan from Star Trek. But simple reasoning and simple logic and deduction from observations, even that I can see. If I look outside, if I make certain observations, then I can also tell that that the Earth is not flat, that the Earth is round, etc. And well, here we go. Okay, so let's continue.
I used to think that the sun and the moon might have been inside maybe the dome, but it doesn't seem like way to me now. I'm looking at it in a totally different aspect. I'm looking at it in a term of...
Okay, you state here that you used to believe that the sun and the moon were inside the dome, but not anymore. You are doubting that idea. So, if I'm not mistaken, most flat earthers, if not all of them, they deny the existence of space also. So, you tell me, Chris, where is the sun? Where is the moon? Where are those things? I mean, if they're not inside the dome, well, then they should be outside the dome. But what is outside the dome? Within flat earth, in general, what is outside the dome? There must be something, there must always be something, To quote a movie from the 80s called Deep Star 6, they said like, under every depth you will find another depth. So here goes, with that dome principle. What is behind that dome, and where are the sun and the moon in this context? But okay, maybe we will get an answer from you. I doubt it, but I can try. Let's see.
This is almost like a holographic image in a way, but possibly a plasma. It's difficult. You see, none of us know. All we do know It's not a magical Walt Disney World land of being in space, because none of that exists. So if it's inside the dome here, something's reflecting it, or something, you know? Could it be from the North Pole? That could make sense. That could make very good sense.
Do you think that the sun and the moon are holographic? Really? Holographic projections. Okay, so if that's the case, if you go to the beach, Chris, and you go, you know, put yourself on the sand is hot. You go lie there, you lie there like for half an hour without any protection for your skin, and then afterwards you're like as red as a lobster, and you think that is caused by a holographic projection? Are you sure about that?
You know, all we know is that turns, and every single rocket will always turn no matter what. Just like the 5-year-old child when he was looking at the rocket going up.
Well, there's a reason why that rocket turns, Chris, because since the Earth is actually a globe, which you deny, but we don't, to get into orbit around it, you know, first you go up, you know, and in your world, you want to skate, you want to keep up going up. Now then happens this, it's like that, you go straight into space, like that. But in most cases we don't want that. We launch these rockets in order to either bring a satellite in orbit, so you can see your weather forecast, you can see all kinds of satellite imagery, they will bring goods to the International Space Station, or any other satellite whatsoever. So you want to keep near Earth, so you launch your rocket indeed straight into space, then you go curve like that, because the Earth is also a curve. You need to reach a certain velocity to stay in orbit around the Earth. Now, like I said, I am not a scientist. I only know that I think you need like roughly a speed of 9 meters per second to stay in orbit around the Earth. And once you are, let's say, out of the atmosphere and into space, where there are barely any molecules left, then the vehicle in question will have no drag, and because it will have no drag, it will keep on going around the Earth, you know, just around the Earth. Now the International Space Station, on the other hand, is flying just above like 400 kilometers or so above the Earth, and there are only a few molecules left, so every now and then the International Space Station is being corrected. You know, it's being lifted up slightly, because due to the few molecules that are left, you know, at that altitude, the space station is dragged down slowly. But yeah, that's the reason why the rocket is going sideways, to get that, you know, that speed to get around the Earth. I mean, what would it else do otherwise, you know? If the Earth was flat, where would it then go? I mean, flat Earth, you are here and then you fly away, then you have a problem, because you see, because then your rocket will fly against your dome. I don't think that's healthy, right? That rocket has to go somewhere. Okay, let's see. Let's see, because we're nearly at the end of our video.
Give me the mathematical computation for that. Okay? It's nonsense.
Okay, I have to admit I am also not that good at mathematical computations or how these things are being figured out, but I do understand the underlying principle of it. You don't even need mathematical computations to understand this. I mean, if you just understand the fact that the Earth is a globe and that you just need a certain speed to get around it, to stay in that motion, then that will, then you stay orbiting the Earth. It's basically the same as, you put like a string to a bucket and then you fill the bucket with water. You start swinging it around you, as long as you keep a certain speed, then the water will not fall out. If you go too slow, then suddenly you have the water over your face. if you go too fast, the string might break. So yeah, you keep a certain speed that is like not breaking the string and also keeps the water inside the bucket. So makes kind of sense.
Ah, man. I don't know. Just wanted to touch base with everybody, see how everybody's doing. I thank you for subbing. I thank you for viewing my videos. Let me be a part of your life.
Okay, so that was a video of Chris, and he ends with the sentence of like, I don't know. It appears that he does not know many of these things, while, you know, if you think a little bit logically about it, without the usage of any formulas or you know, number crunching stuff, you know, you don't need to be a physicist, you know, to understand these basic things, which are not even that hard to grasp. So, you know, by just answering these questions, you know, try to react to your video and say, like, you know, how it is, and just common words from a common person like me. And like I said, I'm not a professor. I don't have a PhD or anything else, but I can make use of just logic deduction and just thinking about the world, how it is, and what is also most reasonable, you know, from all the options available. And maybe you should do the same thing, you know. What is more logical? You guys even say that the planets, the sun, that they are all like spheres, because you can see those things. You can see the sun, you can see Jupiter, Saturn, Mars, the moon, etc. And you can actually see that these objects are spheres because they are rotating. Now, just by a very logical deduction, what makes you think that all these planets are like spheres, you know, globes? And why would the Earth be the only exception in being like a flat disk in space? It's logical thinking, Chris, and that's something I hope that you might ever see this video. I will tackle, I think, a bit more of your videos, because you seem like an interesting guy with some interesting thoughts, with some very, well, some funny thoughts actually as well. And yeah, I like to respond to that, and let's just see how it goes. So, who knows? Maybe you will change your mind one day, and you see, you know, what kind of beautiful planet that we actually live on. You know, a nice, perfect globe. And yeah, so be it. Okay, guys and girls, thank you for watching this, well, let's say first episode of Snowy Debunking Flat Earth. I have no idea how I want to call this, but it's just something that I had to do, you know, seeing this. So, yeah, I will say until the next time. See you guys. Bye-bye.